lady in the doorway. Hi, sweetheart. How you doing? She's not impressed. She's not a coffee person. She's not a person. She's a cat. So, she's not a cat person. She's not a person cat either. So, it's Wednesday. It has been rainy. Boy, it started off coming towards us from the west. Storm clouds just raging, and then the storm clouds kind of stopped storming, and then it just rained. It rained for about an hour. My parents are getting a brand new roof put on their house, and they started on Monday, and it was beautiful on Monday, and then Tuesday it got a little cloudy, but they were able to keep going on Tuesday. A lot of it was taking off the old roof. Their home is a manufactured home. Did it come in 3 pieces? I think maybe it did. I don't know I don't think it was split down the middle. Because a traditional, a double wide, you can think of a double wide, it's a manufactured home. They come split down the middle. So they're basically 2 trailers, and then they get to the site, they hook the trailers together, they clamp everything, they put screws in, they put bolts in, they get everything bolted together, they bolt the top on the roof, and then install the gutters, and then you have yourself a 2 to 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom, one which half worked mobile home, or not a mobile home, but a double wide. I grew up in a double wide. My parents had it up until 15 years ago. And then they sold the double wide. Someone purchased it, which is good. It was still a good house. My father takes care of everything, so that house was in as good a shape when it left. I mean, the furnace is the original furnace, and it worked like a charm, because he had that thing field stripped and then put back together before winter. I mean, he knew what was wrong with it, if there's something wrong with it. Stoves everywhere. We barely had to use that thing because we had gas stoves in various places in the house and under the house. So we were set for warmth. That is for sure. And then they got down off the hill, and then brought in a manufactured home. They went from 3 bedrooms, 2 baths to 2 bedrooms, 2 baths. And it's a nice big house. To be honest, if you looked at it, you wouldn't say, oh, that must have been manufactured. I think they brought the bottom in, and they put the middle on, and then they had the roof that kind of set on top of it. So, it came in sections. It's a beautiful house. But the roof went. The roof was supposed to have like a 30-year guarantee. Unfortunately, the place that manufactured the house went out of business, about 1.5, 2 years after Mom and Dad bought their house. So I don't know who would honor that warranty, and I don't think it would be worth the time and effort to try to go back on it. Mainly because the insurance took care of the roof. So the new roof they're having put on is paid for by the insurance, which is why you have insurance, and how insurance should work. The people that were putting on the new roof tore off the old roof, and the underlying paper, vapor layer, maybe, is that what they would call that? It's a paper that they put down, and apparently it was paper that was rated for metal roofs on sheds and small little trailers, and it was not the kind of paper that was rated for an asphalt shingle. So in about 13, 14 years, that paper had gotten so saturated full of water because it was not meant to be on there that long, it disintegrated. And Mom and Dad had already started getting leaks in the roof before the storm came through, and then the house started dripping on Dad, basically, in his chair. They took all that paper down, but it was just very interesting to me that they'd given the roof a 30-year guarantee, but it didn't last 14 years. And it was because they went with the lightest paper that was not meant for that particular roof, that they lined the top with and then put the shingles over top. So, that's very interesting to me. But mom and dad are going to have, by the end of tomorrow, since hopefully it'll be nicer tomorrow, by the end of tomorrow, they should have a brand new metal roof on top of that house. And they should never have to worry about leaks again. So that's good news. And unfortunately, it rained today, so the workers will not be there. So, but they'll be there tomorrow, hopefully. Hopefully it'll be a nice day and they can get it all finished. They're about 3/4 of the way done. They've got the entire section over top of the front door done, and they've got half, because it was a lot of work taking the roof off. That roof, it's a very large roof. It only has two sides to it. It doesn't have any nooks or crannies or, over porches or anything like that. It is just two sides that just go like this, and that's the end of it. It's as close to an A-frame as my father could get, because he always wanted an A-frame. Always wanted a small A-frame house, and it just wasn't in the cards because those things are pretty expensive to build, because most of them they were hand built back in the day. I don't know how it is today. Today's probably a little different. I don't know. But maybe you can get a manufactured A-frame. But it's a really big, beautiful house. And it's on a picturesque top of a hill. So, it's a pretty great place. It's where I grew up. So I was going to do Loki today. I don't know how much of this I have left. I don't have a lot left, but it's, oh gosh, such a wonderfully sweet smelling coffee. Why you do this? Why you do this, brain? Why you do this? On, before the water gets hot. Thank you. My best friend messaged me today. 38? Why am I doing 38? I think I do 40. No, I need to. I went 10 too far. I need 28. 30's good. I'll handle 30. 30's great. My best friend sent me a text this morning. I don't know. We'll talk about it after I get this. I'm going to do it as straight on 20. As straight as I possibly can get. So my buddy is a master technician at a Nissan. That's nice. A Nissan dealership here in town. The Nissan dealership owns a Mitsubishi dealership. And I worked at both of them. I worked at the Mitsubishi shop, and then I worked at the Mitsubishi shop when it was a Saturn. I worked at the Saturn store that used to be right there. And then Saturn tried to become Saab, and then as quickly as they attempted that, Saab folded in the middle of getting them the deal to work on Saabs, to sell Saabs. The owner of the company even bought one of the Saab SUVs. Turns out it was one of the last Saab SUVs ever to be made. They had a really nice line of cars. It's just here in America, they just, it was a lot like Saturn. Saturn kind of died on the vine. Whether it was, did I zero that? We'll see. I think I did. It just died on the vine, which is unfortunate because I thought Saturn was a great alternative to Honda. In that the cars were cheaper, and actually they were more like Dodge's more basic line. They were cheaper. Some of them had some gimmicky stuff, like one of the versions of the Saturn had a door, the driver's side door open, but then there was a rear door, so it was like a 3-door, so it opened like this. Which turns out it's very interesting. A lot of people that had disabilities liked that car because you could change the driver's seat out much quicker and easier, and then you have this giant door space in order to get in. Because there's like wheelchair locking mechanisms, so you would get a lift. And then the lift would go down, you put your wheelchair on it, and the lift would go back up. And then you'd have hand controls. And So yeah, I saw a couple of those sales while I worked at Saturn. It was very, very interesting to hear the process of what they needed to do in order to retrofit these Saturn cars that had the nice big wide opening on the driver's side, so that they can be driven. It was absolutely fascinating. And there are still some cars that do that, I think, but I don't readily know what those would be. But anyway, so it went from a Saturn dealership to a Saab dealership for about 10 seconds. And then, and I'm not sure if I'm sure people in the area are familiar with Dennis, like Dennis Hyundai. I have this thing about Dennis, because I worked at Saudi 95 and we did a lot of commercials for car dealerships. And the Dennis commercials were always the worst, but somehow, some way, I got a Dennis commercial that I refused to put on the air. I went to the sales manager and I said, "You need to listen to this. And if you think that this is anything but the most racist bunch of garbage you have ever heard, you can upload it, because I'm not touching this. Someone else needs to do. I'm not bothering. This should not be on a radio station." And it was the Dennis guy. I don't know if it was actually Dennis from Dennis Mitsubishi or not, or if it was just a voice actor. But it was about the time, a little after, maybe 2 years after 9/11. And he said, and I quote, "We are performing a jihad on high car prices." And then at the end of the commercial, he had said it so much that it became absurd to him, and he just started laughing out loud. And that's the commercial that they wanted to air on a radio station that is geared towards women. I think it was around 35 to 50 something. Fairly conservative, I would say. It's a fairly conservative radio station. And they wanted to air that. And of course, the sales manager who wants his money said, "No, we need to play that. That's what they want played." And he says, "And it's being played on other radio stations." And I said to him, "Other radio stations are shit if this is what they are playing for a commercial." I said, "You either need to demand that they send you some kind of a generic spot to run, or, I'm not putting this up. I'm giving it to give it to somebody else. And I want you to hand it to them, because this is a terrible spot that should not air." I hated Dennis after that. I didn't want anything to do with anything Dennis did. And then we turn around and we worked at Mitsubishi. When we transferred over to the Mitsubishi dealership, we took all of Dennis's inventory, because they were closing their Mitsubishi, and we were basically taking their franchise and moving it to our own, without the Dennis name, of course. So we went down there and categorized all their parts and took care of all their cars and brought them all up to there, and we were a Mitsubishi dealership. That was in 2010, I guess it was. We became the Mitsubishi dealership. Long story longer. My best friend who works at Nissan across the street from the Mitsubishi dealership that they own texted me this morning to let me know, as of March the 1st, Mitsubishi is no longer Mitsubishi right there. They have closed the Mitsubishi store. I would like to think that everyone that was working at the Mitsubishi store would move to Nissan in some capacity, or was offered to be moved to Nissan in some capacity. I know that is not true. I remember the business model, and salespeople and sales in general is eat each other. Is sales, especially car sales. Car sales are incredibly cut. I watched so many salespeople screw over other salespeople, the salespeople that wanted to do good and do well and be fair. And then you had the salespeople who were just like, "No, you know what? You're in the bathroom, and I just had I just got through talking to a sale. I'll go do this one too." And it's just one of those things. We were told that, the person that was up on deck, the person that was waiting for someone to come in to look at a car, it was their turn. And, if they went to the bathroom and the people came in, we would be like, "Hang on just a second, the salesperson will be with you in just a moment." Well, enough times, they would be like, okay, and then they would wander, and then the other salesperson would just scoop them up, and inevitably that would be a sale. So, it was a rule, but it was never enforced properly at that store. So that long story got even longer. Mitsubishi no longer exists. It was a Saturn dealership. It was a Saab dealership for 10 minutes, and then it's been a Mitsubishi dealership for since 2010. And now they're going to renovate it, and I believe the wording was bring it up to Nissan standards and refurbishment. And then they're going to move Nissan over there to that facility. And I don't know, they'll probably make the old facility the used car dealership. I don't know. Or maybe they'll have more inventory over there. Mitsubishi, it's really funny. Mitsubishi, the Motors of Japan, has not committed anything to the next lineup of cars, to at least that dealership. I don't know if it's all the dealerships or just that one. I don't know. It's really hard to say. But they've just not committed a lineup to anything, and they've been pushing cars away. I mean, I think they have an SUV now. I think they've got like 2 SUVs and maybe a car that they sell here in the U.S. market, and it's just not feasible really anymore. I mean, they had a coupe, they had the Evo, they had the Rally Arts. They had the Lancers, they had Outbacks, I think the Mitsubishi Outlander. They've had a bunch of cars, but then they've just taken all of the majority of those away. I mean, they have that small little Mirage that's I think 60 horsepower, and if you put 4 normal-sized adults in it, it might get 30 miles to the gallon and pull up a hill. It's just a little 60 horsepower engine. It's probably measured in cc's. But I mean, it's, the little K car segment. I think it's been a little popular, but that's not enough to push sales anywhere. I know they redesigned the Outlander, and I don't think it's very attractive. So, and they're just not, the corporate has just not given them any foresight into what's coming next. So they have nothing to push. All they have is the old inventory. So they're going to get rid of the old inventory and take all the parts and put them wherever they needed to go within the Mitsubishi whatever. And then they're going to change that area. Began March 1st. So absolutely fascinating. End of an era there, where it's always been 2 dealerships. And now it's just going to be Nissan. I would assume that if they wanted to, they're probably far enough away from certain other dealerships that they could probably pick something up and put it there if they wanted to. They have a high traffic spot. People pass by there constantly. So, and it's on a main highway. So it's not like it's in the backwoods somewhere. It is in a prominent area right there. And I think the closest dealership to that is a Kia dealership to the north, and I think that's like 5, 6, 7, 8 miles away. Yeah, so the end of an era. I did not see that coming, although I will say it makes sense because Mitsubishi is just dropping the ball when it comes to cars. I mean, they are so far behind in innovation and stuff like that. I mean, they were on top of it with the Evo. Even with the Rally Arts, they were on top of it there for a point, but now they just seem like they've slipped away. So I don't know. It's hard to say what the future holds for a Mitsubishi. I know what the future holds for this coffee. And it's for me to slurp down. Such wonderful key lime smell. Oh. I think we're almost there, unfortunately, with the date on this. Yeah, I think we're about there. It is losing a little bit of its coffee flavor. The infusion definitely helps because it maintains that aroma and flavor of the citrus. But the coffee itself is definitely wilting away, unfortunately. So, but key lime pie, definitely delicious throughout its shelf life. And if it's still available at Bones Coffee, I would highly recommend you get a cup. It is very good. That's it for today. Made my cup of coffee, talked about what I wanted to talk about. That's kind of the whole point. So long, Mitsubishi. You helped me during a time, you know, you did. It was a job. And, you know, I learned a lot about cars during my time there and how sales worked. And I mean, it's basically where I got my washing education because I worked at Nissan for, I think, like 4 seasons. And I was a wash bay attendant. And, you know, it's where I learned all of my detailing stuff, what to look for, how to see panels if they've got gaps in them, to see dents, to see chips, to see places in the windshield that might need touched up, you know, washing wise, you know, the headlight care, that kind of stuff. You know, I learned a lot while I was in that wash bay. And then at Mitsubishi, you know, I learned, you know, how to be a receptionist. You know, and it wasn't that difficult. I hope you have a great day. Hopefully you stay dry. It is wet and rainy right now. I don't have my Doppler forecast handy, so I can't do my radio weather voice. But I do believe it will stop by the end of the day. And then tomorrow will be sunny, but not quite as warm. And that's all I got. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. You guys are the best. Have a great Wednesday, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.